America needs a tidal wave of the old-time religion.
I have sinned against you.
How dare you!
We have no need to doubt God.
The heart of Babylon is preparing the nations to receive the Antichrist.
I didn't even build that house with money from the church. I built it with money from my book.
I don't make this stuff up.
Repenting of your sin.
It is a moral issue.
They got together and swore a pact to the devil.
I just enjoy seeing people worship, praising God.
Hey, everybody.
And welcome to
Believe It or
Not.
Yeah. I'm Trevor Poelman.
And I'm Damien Doepping.
And the meowing you hear is the cat you may hear throughout the episode is the cat I just adopted.
I didn't hear any meowing.
Okay, cool. He just started, so everybody meet Jagger.
Oh, is he a loud meower?
No, he's just a consistent meower, like, because I was giving him pets, and then I stopped to record, and now he's like, why am I not getting pets anymore?
Right.
So... So he'll meow for a bit and then go lie down.
That's just like you, Trev, when you used to live here. When no one was listening to your jokes, you would just come out and then loudly tell a joke out of context, and then you'll be like, "Isn't that funny?" And we're like, "What?"
It's true. My favorite was the time I just kept giving Colin updates on the movie I was watching.
Yeah, he really loved that. You should do that. You should.
Huge fan.
You should start calling him when you're watching movies.
You should.
Tell him what's going on.
Oh, I will. But, so how have you been?
Not too bad. Just made some cold brew, so having some of that. That's really nice.
Nice.
Living the quarantine dream.
Yeah, loving that quarantine dream. I bought some stereo coffee at Toronto Roaster.
Where's that out of?
I don't know. I picked it up. I was walking by Bellwood's brewery, and they had it for sale, and I was like, I need coffee, so I grabbed it. I saw it on Fedora as well when that still was a company.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, now they're not anymore.
Yeah, they closed up.
One more victim to the coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
Shame.
Let's talk about some old-time religion.
How old we talking?
We're talking early 1900s.
That's not that old.
Not that old. So you know how the first line of our theme song is America needs the tidal wave of the old-time religion.
Yeah, I've definitely heard the phrase, give me that old-time religion.
Yeah.
Was that a song?
Yeah, it was a song, and it was just kind of this idea in the revivalist movements that religion used to be better and Christianity used to be better, so let's get back to the way it used to be.
So it's nostalgia religion is what
it is.
What it is.
It really is. But the guy who said that quote at the beginning of every episode is a guy named Billy Sunday. Have you heard of Billy Sunday?
I think we've talked about him before, haven't we?
Yeah, I think he's come up as like one of the big evangelist, revivalist guys.
Right. Was his real last name Sunday, or did he just make that because it's the Lord's Day?
No, that was his real name. So actually, I looked into that too. His grandparents moved from Germany, and their last name was Sonntag.
Or
Sonntag, and which is German for Sunday. So they changed it when they moved to America.
Oh, you go.
Yeah. And actually, when I was a kid, I grew up around a lot of Dutch people, and it's Dutch for Sunday as well. It's the same word.
Mm-hmm.
And if you did something on a Sunday, like go to the store or something like that, you would hear an old person go, "On Sonntag."
All right.
Or the Frisian would be "Upschnein."
Upschnein?
Yeah.
What is that?
So like
on Sunday?
Frisian's like another Dutch. Yeah, that means on Sunday. Or
okay.
It's another Holland or Netherlands language, but yeah, I meant on Sunday as well. So you'd either hear "on Sonntag" or "Upschnein."
Upschnein sounds like something you'd yell at someone when they do something that you're not happy about.
Yeah, it's true.
Like they cut you off. Upschnein.
That's literally what I thought it meant, like for the longest time, and then I said it once, and my parents laughed and like that. You don't know what that means to you.
On Sunday?
Yeah. Like, no, it's Wednesday.
I think that kind of works, too, when, if someone cuts you off.
On Sunday. The Lord's Day.
So, was it Billy Sunday?
Billy Sunday is the guy's name.
Right.
Billy Sunday was a professional baseball player turned traveling evangelist.
So he was used to the travel schedule.
He was used to the travel schedule. Uh-huh. He was really well known for his one-liners and like quips and stuff.
Okay.
So I thought I would read a couple of his quotes first and then get into kind of his history and what he believes and how he worked and all that stuff. Going to church doesn't make you a Christian any more than going to a garage makes you an automobile. That was one of his famous quotes.
I mean, not bad.
Yeah. I heard that one a lot when I was a kid. Basically, anytime that you'd be like, I go to church every Sunday, and like, that doesn't mean you're a Christian. You have to give your life to the Lord.
I mean, at the same time, I kind of agree with it in the sense, it's like, well, yeah, if you're just saying, like, well, I go to church every Sunday. I was like, well, you're not being a very good Christian.
Yeah. And here's one. I don't believe your own bastard theory of evolution either. I believe it's pure jackass nonsense.
Okay.
Yeah. Nowadays, we think we are too smart to believe in the virgin birth of Jesus and too well educated to believe in the resurrection. That's why people are going to the devil in multitudes.
It's always funny when you hear people calling others uneducated and then saying about heaven and hell.
Yeah, it's true. If there ever was Jubilee in hell, it was when the lager beer was invented.
Wait a minute. What?
He was a staunch
prohibitionist.
He hated the idea of beer and alcohol, and that was one of his main preaching things.
I mean, beer and wine got people through the civilization. Like a lot.
Yeah, it's true.
A lot of people would have been dead if it wasn't for beer and wine.
It's true. Yeah. And then finally, the reason you don't like the Bible, you old sinner, is because you know it's all about you.
I don't know if that's true, because there's definitely books that I've read that I didn't like, and it had nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
I understand the sentiment. That's one of those things for the people who are in quote unquote in the know. They're like, that's a very valid point, and they don't understand because that's all about them. But
yeah, it makes you feel better for you like it and they don't, so that means they must be convicted of something, or they just want to sin or whatever it is.
Yeah. I mean, and yes, we do just want to sin because that's what all the fun stuff is.
Yeah.
But that's not the reason we don't like the Bible. That's all I'm saying.
I read the Wikipedia page. I read a lot of other things. The Wikipedia page I feel like it's a little biased. It's written by his fans. So that's another occasion where maybe if you're one of those Wikipedia editors, you can check into some of the facts and check into why it just praises him the whole time. And yeah, so that's something you could do. William Ashley Sunday is his full name. He was born in 1862. And he died in 1935. His father was also named William Sunday. He died the same year that Billy Sunday was born. He joined the volunteer infantry and died of pneumonia 4 months in. So he joined the army, dies immediately from pneumonia. Raised by a single mother and with, I think, 4 other siblings. She couldn't really take care of them, ended up sending them to a home for soldiers' orphans. So it was this school, boarding school type thing for poor people. That's where he kind of discovered that he was an athlete and he liked playing baseball.
Right.
And kind of moved on from there. And then eventually he moved to Marshalltown, Iowa, worked in a factory and stuff, but he was also on the local baseball team, the rec league or whatever. Mm-hmm. And then he was noticed by a guy named of A.G. Spalding of, the Spalding brand.
Oh, really?
Of sports equipment. Another guy in town told Spalding that he should check this guy out. Spalding saw him. Spalding was the president of the Chicago White Stockings, now the White Sox, and drafted Sunday to play for the White Sox. Oh. And he had a pretty good career. It wasn't a long career, but he was pretty well known. Looks like he played in, it was about 9 years that he played professional baseball for the White Sox. There was a league split at the time too, while he was playing for the White Stockings. A lot of other players moved to the new league, but he didn't believe in breaking contracts, so that's why he stayed with the White Sox. Because of that, was able to play a lot more. He wasn't the best on the team originally, but because of that, he got a lot more play time and got much better as an athlete. He was well known, but in 1887 or 86, they're not quite sure, he was hanging out, partying with the other teammates, and he was walking downtown in Chicago, and he heard some hymns, and it reminded him of his mother. So he went in and he just went to this church service, and then he just started going back every week, and eventually, converted, and and decided that he wanted to do this. So he got an apprenticeship. He started working at the YMCA and preaching on Sundays at the YMCA.
Yeah, I see. I don't know if I buy that story that he was just walking by and heard a hymn, and he's like, "Well, that's what I'm going to do now from now on."
Yeah, exactly. It's one of those like Wikipedia. What's the actual fact here? Like, that's probably in his autobiography, so that ended up on the Wikipedia.
There's something happened, or he made a conscious decision to do it for a purpose.
Because especially, he, moved out of his house when he was like 10 or whatever. And,
and he's out partying with the boys, and then all of a sudden decides, well, I guess I'll be a church man now.
Yeah, and so he started preaching, and then he had an apprenticeship with a very well-known evangelist at the time, name of Chapman. So then he got out of his contract with the White Sox, and in 1891, and that's when he went into like preaching full-time and trying to like be a traveling evangelist.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. It was in 1891. He got the YMCA job, paying $83 a month to like preach and do other stuff at the YMCA. It was also in 86 that he met his wife. Mm-hmm. One quote he said was, "She was a Presbyterian, so I am a Presbyterian. Had she been Catholic, I would have been Catholic because I was hot on the trail of Nell." It's like, okay, so you're going around preaching this like gospel, but you admit that you just chose this religion because of a girl you had the hots for. That's
part of the reason why I have to believe that his original turn back to the church was not as simple as they say it is. If he's chasing after a girl and he's flip-flopping around.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that sounds very like apocryphal or
very suspect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, to like help the narrative, kind of like a Road to Damascus kind of Saul Paul conversion when it's really just he liked a girl. Oh, sorry, it was Wilbur Chapman he started. J. Wilbur Chapman was the guy. So he's a big preacher. So in 1893, he started working under him, and then eventually it started his own tour. I don't know, you should check out a video of this guy. There's videos of him preaching, and he's very animated with how he preaches, and it's almost like a lot of the preachers that came after him really just took his style, but he did the classic. He would have one hand in the air and then clap for his points, and he'd have the other hand like pointing to the audience, and just very animated, big movements, and they really seemed like just really well rehearsed lines and movements, and it was really just a production, like it was a stage show.
Yeah, he was like the first to really bring all those kind of things to the forefront. Then that would just still be in the preacher parodies that we see today.
Have you ever seen the video of the kid on Oprah who was like the child preacher on Oprah?
No, I don't watch Oprah or child preachers.
She's the worst.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that kid, like it looked like he was just doing a Billy Sunday impression. It was just dead on. So yeah, he had those big movements, and he also well known for his quips and his little like using a lot of slang and using catchy kind of rehearsed lines. And it was interesting too, the sermon with the America Needs a Tidal Wave of the Old Time Religion. It's all about how for their time Moses and Abraham were billionaires, and like how the Bible says that you have to have money to raise your kids, and if you don't have money, you're not a good leader and stuff like that. So he was very much big on wealth and all that stuff. So
was this like the start of these evangelicals trying to get people to give them more money?
It sounds like it. He was pretty wealthy for a preacher after a while. I think he would make like $850 for each sermon, which at the time was what the average person would make in a year. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he would make like $850, and he would preach multiple times a week. So
very bizarre claim that Moses and who else was it? Sorry.
Abraham, because of the amount of cattle
billionaires.
and
Right.
and then so he would go from town to town with tents at first, and they would set up tents, and he was like kind of the main one leading at first, getting the tent set up, and then eventually got a crew. But at one point there was a snowstorm and his tent went down, so from that point on he demanded that the towns would build him a wooden tabernacle before he showed up.
He demanded that they built him one. Every town
that he went to had to build him like a wooden tabernacle building, basically. Yeah, at their own expense.
Oh, I would have told this guy to get fucked then.
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is, like, again, the Wikipedia page talks about how it was a great, like, it said it was at their cost, and it said it was sometimes they struggled to be able to afford to do it, but it also said, but it was also uplifting, like a barn building. It's like, okay, well, it seems like it's just a shitty thing to do, if you ask me.
That's so funny that we see that now. Who is the preacher right now who is asking people even during Corona to donate so he doesn't go poor or something like that?
Oh yeah, Jim Baker.
That real crazy guy.
Could just eat his buckets of slop that he tries to sell old people.
Right, that's true.
So Nell, he eventually, as he was making more money, he brought in Nell, his wife, to be his manager, basically. And it was actually her that really ramped up the business side of things and actually made him more successful with planning and running the whole like business side of the operation. Oh,
so this is kind of like in Breaking Bad, where Skyler starts taking care of the books.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they hired a nanny, and then they would just tour around together because he was worried about falling out of love or too much strain on the relationship by traveling too much. So he's like, okay, I'll hire you on. And then she ended up being really good at it and really helped him like build the ministry to like what it became. But then after World War I, his stocks dwindled. Like nobody cared anymore about him.
Yeah.
He just wasn't. Yeah. I think too, with a traveling evangelist at the time, nobody had, you didn't have TVs. Not every town had movie theaters. There wasn't a lot of things to do. So you have a big traveling evangelist who puts on this big show with music and then this crazy monologue of a sermon. And you're like, okay, yeah, that's an entertaining night. And then, eventually there's other things you can do with your time besides being told you're going to hell.
That's fair. Especially after the First World War, I feel that there was probably a lot of apathy.
Yeah, probably. Because like after the Second World War, people went back to religion, but I don't think after the First World War, and then like with Prohibition and stuff too, he kept going. Like he was always preaching and stuff till like the day he died, basically.
Well, these people, I don't think they ever really stop unless they have to, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like there was no big scandals in his ministry. Besides near the end of his life, his kids weren't in very good shape. His oldest son, George, committed suicide in 1933. His daughter died, multiple sclerosis. Their lifetime nanny died as well around the same time. So it was just like a rough couple years there. And then he ended up dying himself in 1935. So he had like kind of a big rise to fame and then just like this drop. He also would use baseball, like use the fact that he was known for baseball in his sermons and stuff like that a lot too. Yeah. And he would plan games in the towns he would go, and he would set up games with like the town folks and stuff and actually like show up in his White Sox uniform and play for both, like go back and forth playing for both sides.
Yeah.
And he let's talk about some of his beliefs and the things he preached about. Basic Protestant, Presbyterian Christian. Although he was ordained as a Presbyterian minister, he never actually like preached in a Presbyterian church. He never had his own church or whatever. He was only a traveling evangelist, so he wasn't really denominationally affiliated at all.
Okay, almost an independent.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of Protestants didn't like him because he didn't believe Catholics were going to hell, basically.
And that's all the Protestants wanted to believe, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. He was just, okay with them being considered Christians. And they're like, what? Like I said before, he was really against drinking and gambling and stuff. And like he helped with like the Prohibition movement and was very angry when it was abolished and did many sermons about how the country was going to hell and stuff for bringing alcohol back. And yeah. He stood against. He was against card playing. He was against going to the movies, and he was against the fashion trends of the 1920s. He thought they were too like revealing and sexual and
this
stuff
guy
like that.
This guy didn't want to have any fun.
No, this guy was boring.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Most of these preacher guys very boring. They need to really jazz this up a little bit,
Yeah, exactly. He was for women's suffrage. He wanted the women to have the vote, so that's a good thing, I guess.
Yeah.
He called his first revival kind of tour, I guess, the kerosene tour.
Because he was lighting them up?
The kerosene circuit, sorry. No, because it was in 1896, and he was from Chicago. He lived in Chicago, but he was going to all these towns that didn't have electricity yet. So it was all these, all small towns that weren't electrified. So he called it the kerosene circuit. Yeah, he was an interesting character. Very animated, very polarizing, but very much like Billy Graham would say he's a big influence, and a lot of other kind of evangelical leaders and guys who have their big crusades where they go around trying to save the world or save souls or whatever.
Is there a lot of, is there any like video footage of him preaching?
Yeah, there's quite a bit.
Quite a bit, yeah.
I would say definitely check it out. It's very, it's very interesting to watch. He also ended each of his services, I guess, with calling people to go down the Sawdust Trail, which was his way of like, the Sawdust Trail, which was his like altar call or whatever, his like call to action, where that's where you come up and then you say the sinner's prayer or whatever, and you give your heart to the Lord.
Oh, okay, so they probably just had like the aisleways lined with sawdust or something.
Yeah, probably because like they're the wooden tabernacles, so it's just like wood and ground, so they probably like
it was probably
put
muddy.
Sawdust. Yeah.
Like when they throw sawdust on puke at the amusement parks.
Yeah.
Do they do that? I don't know. I feel like they do.
Sawdust on the puke?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they would do that in
maybe
like
not
high
anymore.
school.
Oh, they did?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like my janitor our janitor at school had like a bucket of sawdust that if somebody puked, that he would like throw it on there.
I think they use it up. I think they use chemicals now for it, but
yeah, probably. Or cat litter.
Maybe.
A lot of newspapers would also print his whole sermons in their, like after he was in their town, they would just print a transcript of the whole sermons in their newspaper. In 1907, there was a quote about him from a journalist, though, that said, "The old doctrine of damnation, in spite of his conviction that the truly religious man should take his religion joyfully, he gets his results by inspiring fear and gloom in the hearts of sinners. The fear of death with torment beyond it intensifies by example of the frightful deathbeds of those who have carelessly or arbitrarily, that's a weird word, put off salvation until it's too late. It's with this mighty menace that he drives sinners into the fold." So basically, yeah, I didn't like that he was like all about, if you don't do this, you're going to hell and you're going to burn. And that was, a lot of theologians were moving away from that kind of rhetoric, and a lot of pastors were moving away from that rhetoric, and he fully embraced it. So
right. Well, it worked for him for a while. So, I mean,
he hated the sounds of like coughing and babies crying and stuff like that during his sermons, so he would like,
that's a lot like someone we know right now.
Exactly. So they always had nurseries because he didn't want babies in the crowd, and also he would tell people how to stifle their coughs.
I mean,
so it didn't.
If I was performing from a room, I wouldn't mind having a section for coughers and babies.
Yeah, it's true.
Get him out of here!
Get him out! No, I'm serious though. Get him out. Yeah. Wow. And yeah, so between 1908 and 1920, they earned over $1 million. So that was quite a lot for the period.
Yeah, I don't know what $1 million would be with the exchange.
Yeah, well, if you think the average person, so according to this, they said the average person in that same time period would have made $14,000. So that kind of puts it in a bit of perspective.
Okay, here we go. $1 million in 1920 is equivalent to about $12,905,750.
Okay, so he's not like Kenneth Copeland with his billions or Creflo Dollar or whatever, but still, like, for the time, probably one of the highest paid pastors.
It's a good amount of money.
I wouldn't shake a stick at it.
No, I wouldn't mind $13 million right now.
Yeah, I'd take it.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone has $13 million they don't want right now, just email us.
Email transfer. Yeah. All right. So that's my kind of brief history of Billy Sunday. Any thoughts on Billy Sunday?
It's nice to know finally where Sunday got its name from this guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Who loved the Lord.
Yeah. It's weird to think that before 1862 we just didn't have a name for that day of the week.
Yeah, it was just Lord's Day.
Yeah, there was no like scandals or like sexual misconduct things or whatever, and I think
I'm sure there probably was, but I don't know if they were reported as much as they were later.
That's true. Yeah, I know Billy Graham kind of had. There's like the Billy Graham rule that Mike Pence follows, where he was never alone with a woman that wasn't his wife.
Right.
So there always had to be someone else there.
You mean Mother?
And I don't know. Yeah, he had to be with Mother. Jesus. The worst. Yeah, so so that's all I got about Billy Sunday, but I do have a quiz.
Oh, we got another okay.
Where's our Bible?
Where's our Bible?
Where's our goddamn Bible? We don't have a Bible in here. Why don't we have a Bible? We never have.
It's a bar.
What's this quiz on?
Dun, 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 dun. It's a Bible quiz, sort of, with a twist.
I still haven't read the book.
Okay.
Is that gonna hurt me?
Oh, it's gonna hurt you.
Okay.
How's your creed knowledge?
No, not the best, but I'll try.
Okay, because this quiz is a quiz I made called Creed Lyric or Bible Verse.
Oh. Is this an homage to our good pal?
Yeah, no, I just was listening to a Creed song and I thought that'd be a fun game.
All right. Yeah, forget that guy then.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go. A friend loves at all times, and a brother is born for adversity. Is that a Bible verse or a Creed lyric?
It's a terrible lyric, so I'm going to say Bible verse.
Yeah. Demons cluttering around, my face showing no emotion.
That's Creed.
Yeah, from My Own Prison.
Yeah.
All streams flow into the sea, yet the sea is never full. To the place the streams come from, there they return again.
That's the Bible. That one, I'm more unsure about this one.
It's the Bible.
Aha.
Well, I don't know if I'm ready to be the man I have to be. I'll take a breath. I'll take her by my side. We stand in awe. We've created life.
This is definitely Creed.
Yeah, with the arms wide open.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah. If I could make the earth my dreams the same, the only difference is to let love replace our hate.
Oh, Creed.
Yeah, it's from Higher. Gracious words are a honeycomb, sweet to the soul and healing to the bones.
Another Creed, right?
No, that one's from Proverbs 16, verse 24.
Oh, really?
Yeah. If your eyes are healthy, your whole body will be full of light.
Creed?
Bible.
That's the Bible
Matthew
too?
6, verse 24b, yeah.
If your eyes are healthy?
Yeah, if your eyes are healthy, your whole body will be full of light.
Okay. All right.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah, I don't... Did they know much about eye health back then?
I don't think they did.
That was why
it's like the same area where they talk about an eye for an eye, so...
Oh, yeah, well, so long as you have both of them, I guess that's good then.
Yeah. When you're with me, I'm free, I'm careless, I believe.
Creed.
Yeah, it's from My Sacrifice.
I'm hearing like the title of the song being sung, and they all seem to have the same the same kind of sound to me.
Yeah, it's true.
Like they're all sung the same way.
I listened to a Creed song today to ramp up for this, and I was like, "Oh, I'm just upsetting Jagger." Like,
Oh, he's not a Creed fan, huh?
he's not a Creed fan. He just went and hid.
Oh no, too righteous for him.
I think so.
Right.
Now I see a face on the water. It looks humble but willing to fight. I saw the will of a warrior. His yoke is easy and his burden is light.
Bible?
Nope, Creed.
Shit.
It's from Faceless Man.
I had a feeling.
Yeah. And then finally, may the Lord strike you with Egyptian boils and with tumors, scabs, and itch for which you will find no cure.
The Bible.
That's the Bible. Yeah, that's Deuteronomy 28, verse 27.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you imagine if that was a Creed lyric, though?
Deuteronomy, where's my car?
Nice.
We should make that movie.
We should. Oh, well, that was fun.
How did I do? Did you keep score or no?
I didn't keep score, actually.
Oh, great quiz.
You did great, though.
It's all good. Don't worry about it.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Thanks for learning more about Billy Sunday and my cat.
Yeah, and until next time, believe it.
Or not. Bye.
Bye.
Work, 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 Sky Moon.